Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Legal World. Myself Dr. Seema Goyal. In the series of Negotiable Instrument Act, I have discussed many important questions relating to the negotiable instrument. Today in this video, I am going to discuss one more important question relating to the Negotiable Instrument Act. My question is, what do you understand by promissory note and the bill of exchange? As per Negotiable Instrument Act, also define their characteristics as well as the differences between them. This is my question. भारतीय विनिमय साध्य विलेख अधिनियम की धारा 5 के अनुसार विनिमय पत्र एक शर्त रहित लिखित आज्ञा पत्र होता है जिसका लेखक अपने हस्ताक्षर करके एक निश्चित व्यक्ति को यह आदेश देता है कि वह उसको या उसके आदेशानुसार किसी निश्चित व्यक्ति को अथवा वाहक को उसमें लिखित धनराशि का भुगतान कर दे। एवं दूसरे शब्दों में हम यह भी कह सकते हैं कि विनिमय पत्र एक लिखित आदेश होता है जिसमें ऋणदाता ऋणी को एक निश्चित धनराशि स्वयं या उसे या उसके द्वारा आदेशित किसी व्यक्ति को अथवा वाहक को अदा करने की आज्ञा देता है। If we talk about the characteristics of the bill of exchange, there are the certain characteristics. फर्स्ट इज यह एक लिखित आदेश होता है। सेकेंड वन इज यह जो आदेश एक निश्चित धनराशि को चुकाने के लिए होता है। थर्ड वन इज यह आदेश शर्त रहित होता है। फोर्थ इज सामान्यतः यह ऋणदाताओं द्वारा ऋणी पर लिखा जाता है। नेक्स्ट वन इज इस पर ड्रॉअर के हस्ताक्षर होते हैं। नेक्स्ट वन इज इस पर ड्रॉई की स्वीकृति होती है। नेक्स्ट वन इज विनिमय विपत्र निश्चित व्यक्ति के पक्ष में लिखा गया होता है। नेक्स्ट वन इज विनिमय विपत्र का भुगतान मांगने या अवधि समाप्त होने पर किया जाता है। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज विनिमय विपत्र का भुगतान मुद्रा में ही किया जाता है। नेक्स्ट इज विनिमय विपत्र का भुगतान किसी विशेष व्यक्ति अथवा उसके आदेश प्राप्त व्यक्ति अथवा वाहक को किया जाता है। विनिमय पत्र पर आवश्यक स्टैंप होनी जरूरी है। एंड द लास्ट वन इज विनिमय विपत्र पर तिथि एवं स्थान भी लिखा जाता है। So these are the certain characteristics of the bill of exchange. If this specimen of the bill of exchange. If we talk about these three terms, first is drawer, that is लेखक या आहर्ता। ड्रॉअर वह व्यक्ति होता है जो विनिमय विपत्र को लिखता है, प्रायः लेनदार या ऋणदाता कहलाता है। नेक्स्ट वन इज ड्रॉई होता है जिस पर विनिमय विपत्र लिखा जाता है और वह उसे स्वीकार करता है और वो प्रायः ऋणी होता है। एंड द लास्ट पार्टी दैट इज पेई, यह वो व्यक्ति होता है जिसे विनिमय विपत्र की रकम का भुगतान प्राप्त करना होता है अथवा पेई वो स्वयं भी हो सकता है। ड्रॉअर पेई स्वयं भी हो सकता है। इस स्थिति में विपत्र में केवल दो पक्षकार ही रह जाते हैं। तो दीज आर द थ्री पार्टीज दैट इज जनरली फाउंड इन बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज। मीन्स इन द बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज जनरली इट इज फाउंड थ्री पार्टीज दैट इज ड्रॉअर, ड्रॉई एंड द पेई. If we talk about the definition of the promissory note, that is defined under Section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. As per Section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, विनिमय साध्य विलेख अधिनियम की धारा 4 के अनुसार प्रतिज्ञा पत्र एक लिखित पत्र होता है जो बैंक नोट अथवा करेंसी नोट के अतिरिक्त होता है। इसमें लिखने वाला, इसमें अंकित रकम, इसमें लिखे हुए व्यक्ति का या पक्षकार या उसके आदेशित व्यक्ति या उसके वाहक को बिना शर्त के देने की प्रतिज्ञा करता है। If we talk about the characteristics of the promissory note, there are the certain characteristics. First characteristic is प्रतिज्ञा पत्र लिखित होता है। सेकंड वन इज प्रतिज्ञा पत्र में बैंक नोट एवं करेंसी नोट सम्मिलित नहीं किए जाते। थर्ड वन इज प्रतिज्ञा पत्र पर लिखने वाले का हस्ताक्षर होने चाहिए। नेक्स्ट वन इज इसमें लिखित धनराशि का भुगतान करने की प्रतिज्ञा होनी चाहिए। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज प्रतिज्ञा पत्र में धनराशि के भुगतान की प्रतिज्ञा शर्त रहित होनी चाहिए। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज प्रतिज्ञा पत्र पर लिखने वाले का नाम व पता स्पष्ट होना चाहिए। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज प्रतिज्ञा पत्र की राशि प्राप्त करने वाला व्यक्ति भी निश्चित होना चाहिए। ही मस्ट ऑल्सो बी सर्टेन। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज भुगतान देश की वैधानिक मुद्रा में होना चाहिए। यद्यपि रिजर्व बैंक द्वारा निर्गमित नोट भी एक प्रकार की प्रतिज्ञा पत्र होते हैं, परंतु उसमें कानूनी दृष्टि से ये प्रतिज्ञा पत्र के डेफिनेशन में शामिल नहीं किए जाते। पत्र एवं बैंक नोट में प्रमुख अंतर यह पाया जाता है कि बैंक नोट कानूनी ग्राह्य होते हैं जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्र कानूनी ग्राह्य नहीं होते। If we talk about the difference between the bill of exchange and the promissory note, there are the certain differences. First difference is regarding the parties, पक्षकार। विनिमय पत्र की यदि हम बात करें, बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज के अंदर जनरली तीन तरह की पार्टीज पाई जाती हैं, दैट इज ड्रॉअर, ड्रॉई एंड पेई, आहर्ता, हराई एवं अदाता। If we talk about the promissory note, in the promissory note there are generally two parties, that is प्रतिज्ञा पत्र को लिखने वाला एवं प्रतिज्ञा पत्र को प्राप्त करने वाला। एंड द सेकेंड डिफरेंस इज रिगार्डिंग द लेखक। सेकेंड इज लेखक। विनिमय पत्र को प्रायः लेनदार लिखता है जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्र को देनदार लिखता है। एंड द थर्ड वन इज स्वीकृति की आवश्यकता। विनिमय पत्र पर स्वीकृति का होना आवश्यक है जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्र पर स्वीकृति की आवश्यकता नहीं होती। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस इज रिगार्डिंग द आदेश या प्रतिज्ञा। विनिमय पत्र भुगतान का आदेश होता है जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्र भुगतान करने की प्रतिज्ञा होती है। एंड द नेक्स्ट इज भुगतान करने का दायित्व। विनिमय पत्र में भुगतान करने का दायित्व स्वीकृत करने वाले का होता है, जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्र में भुगतान करने वाले का दायित्व लिखने वाले का होता है। एंड द नेक्स्ट इज प्रतिया। विनिमय पत्र की 3 प्रतियां एक साथ लिखी जाती हैं, जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्र की केवल एक ही प्रति लिखी जाती है। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस दैट इज रिगार्डिंग द यूज, प्रयोग। विनिमय विपत्रों का प्रयोग केवल व्यापारिक कार्यों के लिए किया जाता है, जबकि प्रतिज्ञा पत्रों का प्रयोग व्यक्तिगत अथवा व्यवहारिक दोनों प्रकार के लेन देन के लिए किया जाता है। तो दीज वर द सर्टेन डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन द बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज एज वेल एज द प्रॉमिसरी नोट। If we talk about the difference between the check and the bill of exchange, there are the certain differences between the check and the bill of exchange also. First difference is regarding the nature. If we talk about the check सदैव बैंकर पर लिखा जाता है, जबकि बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज या विनिमय विपत्र किसी भी व्यक्ति जिसमें बैंक भी सम्मिलित होता है, इस पर लिखा जाता है। सेकेंड डिफरेंस इज रिगार्डिंग द एक्नॉलेजमेंट, स्वीकृति। इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द चेक, इसमें स्वीकृति की आवश्यकता नहीं होती, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र में स्वीकृति की आवश्यकता होती है। थर्ड डिफरेंस इज रिगार्डिंग द अवधि, टेन्योर। चेक जो है वह मांग पर देय होता है, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र मांग पर अथवा विनिश्चित अवधि के बाद देय होता है। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस दैट इज अनुग्रह दिवस। चेक पर अनुग्रह दिवस नहीं दिए जाते, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र पर 3 दिन अनुग्रह दिवस के रूप में दिए जाते हैं। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस इज रिगार्डिंग द रेखांकन, क्रॉसिंग। चेक जो वो रेखांकित हो सकते हैं, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र रेखांकित नहीं होते। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस इज रिगार्डिंग द मुद्रांक। चेक पर मुद्रांक या स्टैंप नहीं लगाया जाता, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र या पर नियम अनुसार मुद्रांक या स्टैंप लगाया जाता है। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज प्रस्तुत न होने का दायित्व। चेक को प्रस्तुत न किए जाने पर देनदार अपने दायित्व से मुक्त नहीं होता, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र को भुगतान की तिथि पर प्रस्तुत न किए जाने पर इसका पक्षकार अपने दायित्व से मुक्त हो जाता है। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस दैट इज अनादरण की सूचना। चेक का अनादर होने पर तुरंत उसकी सूचना देना अनिवार्य नहीं होता, क्योंकि चेक का लेखक बिना भुगतान किए अपने दायित्व से मुक्त नहीं हो सकता, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र का अनादर होने पर इसकी सूचना तत्काल सभी पक्षकारों को देनी आवश्यक है, अन्यथा सभी पक्ष अपने दायित्व से मुक्त हो जाते हैं। एंड द नेक्स्ट डिफरेंस दैट इज रिगार्डिंग द आलोकन एवं प्रमाणन। चेक के अनादर होने पर आलोकन एवं प्रमाणन की आवश्यकता नहीं होती, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र के अनादर होने पर आलोकन एवं प्रमाणन की आवश्यकता होती है। एंड द लास्ट डिफरेंस रिगार्डिंग द आज्ञा का खंडन। चेक का भुगतान होने से पहले उसका भुगतान रोका जा सकता है एवं लेखक की मृत्यु, पागलपन अथवा दिवालियापन की दशा में चेक की सूचना मिलने पर चेक का भुगतान रोक दिया जाता है, जबकि विनिमय विपत्र का भुगतान नहीं रोका जा सकता और न ही इन परिस्थितियों का विनिमय विपत्र पर कोई प्रभाव पड़ता है। तो दीज वर द सर्टेन डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन द चेक एज वेल एज द बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज। If we talk about the promissory note, that is defined under Section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. As per Section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act, promissory note is an unconditional promise in writing that is made by one person to another, signed by the maker, engaging to pay on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time, a sum certain in money to the order of a specified person or to the bearer. This means a promissory note is an instrument in writing, note being a bank note or the currency note, containing an unconditional undertaking signed by the maker to pay certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. This is the specimen of the promissory note. If we talk about the essential characteristics of the promissory note, first essential characteristic of the promissory note, that is written instrument. A promissory note must be a written instrument, that must be in writing. It may be either printed or typed or written by a pen or pencil. This means a promissory note written by pencil is also valid in the eyes of law. But manipulation is easily possible in a promissory note written by pencil, and therefore it appears not proper to recognize such promissory note. And the second essential characteristic of the promissory note, that is the note, a bank note or the currency note. If we talk about the promissory note, that is note, a bank note or the currency note. That does not include a bank note or the currency note. And the third characteristic is that is promise to pay. In the promissory note, there must be a promise to pay. The information for existence of debt or the information for being debtor is not sufficient. That is, I owe you. That is acknowledgement of the debt. It is not generally a negotiable instrument. It is merely an evidence of the debt. Similarly, a receipt of money is not a promissory note. In the case of Akbar Khan versus Azhar Khan, an instrument was written in this form. This receipt is hereby executed by B for the rupees 43,000 received from A, the amount to be payable after 2 years, interested at the rate of % to be changed. In this case, the Privy Council held that this is not a promissory note as per section 4 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. This means these statements may not be a promissory note. That is, I acknowledge myself indebted to B for rupees 5,000. I have borrowed rupees 5,000 from B and have executed this promissory note, or received rupees 5,000 from B and the sum shall be payable on demand. I am liable to pay rupees 5,000. So these are the certain statements which does not constitute a promissory note. And the next characteristic of the promissory note, that is unconditional promise. The promise to pay the money must be either unconditional or based on the happening of a certain event that is certain. This means in the case of Bielse versus Baldwin, the promise to pay the money within few days after the marriage of the defendant was not considered as a promissory note on the ground that it is possible that the defendant may never marry, but a promise to pay money within a certain day after the death of a person may be considered as a promissory note because the death is certain. This means following may not be a promissory note. And the next characteristic of the promissory note, that is signature. The promissory note must be signed by the maker of the instrument. Otherwise, it will be irregular. The term signature includes also a mark or the thumb impression made by the person concerned. If a person can make his signature, then he cannot be allowed to make his thumb impression. And the next condition for the promissory note, that is maker of the instrument must be certain. The maker of the promissory note must be a certain person. If a promissory note is signed made by more than one person, then it is essential to clarify their liability, that is joint or several liability. And the next characteristic of the promissory note, that is promise to pay certain amount of money. This means amount promised to pay must also be certain. Not only this, it must be in cash, money only. This means if a person promises to pay money along with his any other thing, that is cow, house, a plot, etc., it cannot be considered as a promissory note. This means if the promise has to be pay certain sum of money, that is promissory note. Means if the promise has to be made to pay the principal amount along with a certain interest, it may be considered the promissory note. It may be also appropriate. But such interest must also be certain in the form of money only. This means amount must be certain. The statement, I promise to pay all the dues, or I promise to pay the principal amount along with the certain interest due on me, would not be considered as promissory note because it is not certain. And the next condition for the promissory note, that is the pay must also be certain. The pay must also be certain. It is also essential to be a promissory note. This means secretary, president, manager, officer of the company, instrument may also be as certain because the concerning officer holds a particular post in the company or the institution. That the promissory note written in the favor of such a person is always regular and valid. And the promissory note may be payable to bearer of the order. And the next characteristic of the promissory note, that is other characteristics. That is, in addition to the characteristics that is referred above, the date of making instrument and the place of payment, its numbers, etc., must also be written in the promissory note. But in their absence, the promissory note is not useless. If any other person becomes the surety for the payment of the money mentioned in the promissory note, then the validity of the promissory note is not affected. And the promissory note must be written either on the stamp paper or required stamp must be affixed. Required stamp must be affixed on the promissory note. So this was all about the promissory note. If we talk about the bill of exchange, that is defined under section 5 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. As per section 5, bill of exchange is an unconditional order in writing addressed by one person to another, that is signed by one person giving it, requiring the person to whom it is addressed to pay on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time a sum certain in money or to the order of a specified person or to the bearer. This means the person who gives the order to pay is the drawer, and the person to whom the order to pay is given, that is drawee, and the person to whom the payment is to be made, that is payee. This means bill of exchange contains the three parties. A bill of exchange is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order that is signed by the maker, directing a certain person to pay a certain sum of money only to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. This is the specimen of the bill of exchange. If we talk about the essential characteristics of the bill of exchange, that is similar to the promissory note sometimes. First condition of the promissory note, that is the written instrument. Like a promissory note, bill of exchange must also be a written instrument. This means bill of exchange must be a written instrument like a promissory note. It may be either printed, typed, or written by pen or pencil. A bill of exchange written by pencil also is valid in the eyes of law, but manipulation is easily possible in that instrument that is written by pencil. Therefore, it appears not proper to recognize such an instrument. And the second condition is unconditional order to pay. The instrument must be certain. The instrument must contain an order to pay. Not only this, such order to pay must be unconditional. There are the certain bill of exchange which are not valid. That is, pay rupees 1,000 after 30 days or whenever possible. Pay rupees 1,000 after return of the ship from the London. This can't be considered as bill of exchange because they are unconditional. They are not conditional because these are conditional. So these are the bill of exchange. These are the bill of exchange that is pay rupees 5,000 after 3 months with effect from the date of acceptance. Or the pay rupees 5,000 to Mohan after attaining the majority by him on the 1st March 2003. So these may be the bill of exchange because there is no condition attached with it. So this means bill of exchange must be unconditional undertaking. And the next condition for the bill of exchange, that is the signature of the drawer. The bill of exchange must also be signed by the drawer, otherwise it would be irregular. And the fourth condition, that is drawer must be certain. The drawer of the bill of exchange must also be certain. In case of dishonor, the drawer of the instrument is to be traced. Therefore, the drawer must also be a certain person. And the next condition for the bill of exchange, that is the drawer must also be certain. The drawer of a bill of exchange must also be certain person because the drawer is to be traced after the acceptance of the bill of exchange or the payment of the bill of exchange. And the drawer of the bill of exchange may be more than one person. And the next condition, that is payee must be certain. The payee of the bill of exchange must be certain person. If the several names have been mentioned in the bill of exchange, then it is irregular on the ground that the payee is uncertain. If the name of the payee is not mentioned in the instrument, the holder of the instrument may write his or her name. Does he or she may claim the payment? And the last condition for the bill of exchange, that is certain amount. Like the other instruments, the sum payable must also be certain, like the promissory note and the cheque. And not only this, it must be paid in the form of money only, as already discussed in the promissory note. So these were the certain conditions that are essential for the bill of exchange. If we talk about the difference between the promissory note and the bill of exchange, the promissory note and the bill of exchange, the first difference, that is there are two parties in the case of promissory note, while in the case of bill of exchange there are three parties, that is drawer, and the payee. And the second difference between them, that is the drawer and the payee may not be the same person in the case of promissory note, while in the case of bill of exchange, payee and drawer may be the same person. In the case of promissory note, drawer and the payee may not be the same, while in the case of bill of exchange, drawer and the payee may be the same. And the third difference between them, that is it contains the unconditional undertaking, unconditional promise by the maker to pay the payee in the case of promissory note, while in the case of bill of exchange, there is unconditional order, not the promise. This means in the case of bill of exchange, it contains unconditional order to the drawer to pay according to the drawer's direction. And the fourth difference between them, that is no prior acceptance is needed in the case of promissory note, while in the case of bill of exchange, after the site must be accepted by the drawer or his agent before it is presented for payment. And the next difference between them, that is the liability of the maker or the drawer is primary and absolute in the case of promissory note, and the drawer is directly liable in the case of non-payment, while in the case of bill of exchange, the liability of the drawer is secondary and conditional upon the non-payment by the drawer, and the drawer is not directly liable. The drawer may be liable if the acceptor of the drawer refuses to pay. And the next difference, that is notice of the dishonor need not be given to the drawer in the case of promissory note, while in the case of bill of exchange, notice of the dishonor must be given by the holder of the drawer, by the holder to the drawer, and the immediate endorsers to hold them liable thereon. And the next difference, that is the maker of the drawer of the note is in direct relations with the payee, while the drawer does not stand in the immediate or the direct relation with the acceptor of the drawer. holder of the payee and the acceptor drawee or the drawee has a direct relation. And the last difference, that is single copy is required in the case of promissory note, while in the case of bill of exchange 3 copies are required. So these were the certain differences between the promissory note and the bill of exchange. If you have any doubt, then you must put down in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel for the further update. Thank you.